quarterback that's 4 inches shorter than you and Bryce Young. What have you seen in him that convinced you he can thrive in the NFL as you have?
Well, I mean, I've obviously followed just his career in college and what he's been able to do. And, for him, this size really hasn't mattered for him. And he's still been able to make the plays, make the throws that, you need to make. And so it hasn't hindered him at all in the type of player that he is.
How much have you been involved with this process at all, or have they involved you at all?
No, I haven't been too involved with it all. I try to get as much information as I can, but that's for those guys upstairs to figure out on who's going to be the best option for us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mike K, then Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Andy, Mike K from the Charlotte Observer. Welcome. Wanted to ask you, you obviously started as a rookie right away, and I'm just curious, what were the challenges that first off season when you got that role and were leading the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is you got to learn quickly of not only what you're doing, but how NFL defenses play, to play with the timing and rhythm that you need to play at this level. And I think that's the biggest adjustments coming in. When I came in, it was the lockout year too. So I was the same class as Cam. So coming in, you didn't have any of the OTAs, didn't have any of the off-season program. There wasn't much communication. So from the start, you got to pick up on things quickly. And so I think the biggest thing is making sure you understand not only what you're doing offensively. I feel like that's the easiest part, but understand how defenses are playing, how the different blitzes that you're going to see, the different coverages, protection, all the little details that really make a difference.
You kind of had a similar situation in Chicago where you work with Justin Fields. I was wondering, how did you guys connect and how did you lead without potentially kind of hindering his status in the locker room?
Yeah, I think for me, because I've started for most of my career, I know what meetings are like. I know the conversations that need to be had, the topics that need to be brought up. And I think for me, I'm just the same person that I am as when I'm playing as when I haven't been. And so the same questions that I'll have are same things that need to be talked about I'm going to ask, just because, as you know, in this league, you're one play away from being the guy out there, and you want to make sure everybody's on the same page with it all.
Andy, Skylar Callahan with Sports Illustrated. I guess just speaking about your free agency, just kind of what were you looking for this offseason? Were you looking for a certain role or anything like that? What drew you to Carolina? And kind of too, what do you think about this roster, since obviously you and others have signed? Do you feel like this is a team that can easily compete for the South this year?
Yeah, we're going into this free agency and some of the free agencies in previous years, I feel like I've tried to play for Frank a couple times, and it just the timing hasn't worked out. But when Frank got the job, and then he was building the staff, and then with Josh McCown, when he just got the quarterback coach position, is like, man, that would be a really cool place to be, just with previous relationship with him and Frank and a lot of these guys. So I was hoping that it could work out and I could be here in Carolina, and happy that it all happened the way it did, and get to be part of this thing. And I think what we're building, and not only from a coaching staff standpoint, but also the players that we brought in to add to the group that was already here, I feel like we've done some really good things, and have built the roster that is ready to go. And we haven't even hit the draft yet too, so we're going to add a couple more pieces, which will fit in great for the environment that and culture that we're creating here.
Let's go over to Joe Person, then back to David.
Hey, Andy, Joe Person with The Athletic, and good to see you. Thanks for doing this today.
Appreciate it.
Wanted to ask you, I know they were not doing these S2 tests when you came out, but I wondered if you had any sort of background with it, just if you've taken it, or what you know about it and what you think of it.
No, I like you said, it wasn't around whenever I was coming out in the draft. So we only had the Wonderlic. So I honestly don't know too much about it. I know the intelligence and some of these guys have scored pretty high on it, but I don't know all the details of what the test really does.
Wanted to ask you too, just kind of what attracted you besides the coaching staff about this position here with the Panthers, and how, did they tell you, like, we kind of view you as a mentor, or how did they kind of describe the role to you?
Well, I think there's a lot that I can bring to the room to help whoever's going to be in there. And from the standpoint of, I was him 13 years ago coming in and as a rookie, and with the expectation of playing and all the stuff that goes into it. So I think there'll be some experience that I can bring in to help out with. Obviously, there's a lot of great people in this building, and a lot of people that are going to be giving a lot of, advice, helping, try to do everything they can to make sure whoever's here is going to be successful. So, I think for me, I'm just another piece of that can help. And also, I mean, for me, it's I'm here to be the best player that I can be too, and help this team in as many ways as I can. If it happens to be where I'm playing, that's awesome. I feel like that's what I've done my whole career everywhere I've been. But if not, it's helping the team in different ways.
Back to you, David.
You're on mute again.
You got me?
Gotcha.
All right. I'm just curious too. What do you think of this wide receiver core? And also, I think Thielen, when he got here, said he feels like this is a roster that can compete now and possibly win a Super Bowl at some point, or go to a Super Bowl. You agree with that? What do you think of that?
I do. I truly feel that, especially with the culture that's being created here, and just what Frank has brought to this team. The receiving group is, we've got some talent, and I think the addition of Adam and DJ, I feel like those are really good pieces that are going to help this team to go along with the guys that were already here. And so right now it's just trying to build that chemistry, making sure guys are understanding what we're trying to do offensively. And again, new playbook for a lot of people here. And so just making sure that all the questions are being asked, all the communication is happening, to make sure we're all on the same page.
And you're really familiar with the South, having played with New Orleans. So do you think this division just is kind of there for the taking right now?
I think so. I think nobody wanted to win the division last year, the way it was going. So yeah, I just kind of where this division's at. There's not one front runner that everybody's going to talk about and say, this is the team that that's probably going to be a lock for the South. And that puts every team, all four of the teams in a position where they think that they can take this division. And now it's just going to come down to what you build and what you're able to do once the season gets going.
And one more follow on that. Why do you think this team could compete potentially for a playoff Super Bowl?
Well, one, I think just what we were talking about with the division, there's not that one front runner. If you can get on a roll, it gives you a chance to get into the playoffs, and to, at that point, to make a run at it. And so I think just, again, the atmosphere, the chemistry, the culture, the expectation within this building and within the organization, and the way that things are being presented to everybody. There's a lot of really good things right now. And I know there's a lot of teams, and there's every team saying right now that, this is going to be the year that we're going to be able to get this thing done. But, we're putting in the work right now. And so the hope is that, with the work that's going in right now is going to carry over into the season, and, it'll translate to wins as this thing goes on.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Let's go to Deshaun Brown and Mike Solarte, please.
All right, sorry about that. Good afternoon, Andy, and welcome. This is Deshaun with WSOC here in Charlotte. You shared a few minutes ago that you've tried playing for Frank Reich a couple of times. I'm curious, what's the story behind that?
Well, with everybody's kind of known in Indy, there's been a new quarterback every year. And for me, I've been a free agent the last several years. Been on several 1-year deals. So it's just, I've known Frank for a while now, and just with talking with him when it comes to, talking with free agency and everything that's going on, it just hasn't worked out. But that was all part of God's plan. So it wasn't supposed to work out then. It's supposed to work out now, and we're here now, and excited for what's to come.
Hey, Andy, Mike Solarte, Spectrum News 1. Good to see you. Welcome to Charlotte. In meeting with the coaches and Coach Brown on the offensive side, and you talked about Frank and Josh already, what kind of jumps off the page in the philosophy of this offense that you'll be kind of learning and also maybe doing some teaching as well with whoever comes in at the draft?
Yeah, I think it's a good mixture of what Thomas is able to bring from the Rams, and then what Frank has done throughout his career, especially the last several years in Indy and all that kind of stuff. So it's a good, marriage of both offenses. And so, we're kind of pulling from both. And as anybody would do, you try to take the things that worked really well for you in both places and kind of blend them and present it to the team. So we're in the very beginning stages of what we're going to be doing. And so you can't just say exactly, what this thing's going to look like, but it's been a good start for us.
But the overall balanced run pass, I know it's very early, as you just said, but is that an appealing look to see the different piece from here and the different piece from there, to see it all kind of blended together?
Yeah. And right now it's all, just an install and a playbook. We'll see as we get into actually playing some games and get into practices and see kind of the, run to pass and how it's all going to come together, and how this thing is going to be dialed into how we want it to look when we get to the season.
Last one for me. I know you said you've been trying to play for Frank, but landing here at Carolina and seeing what that offensive line looks like, that has to put a smile on your face as well.
For sure. You look at free agency, there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, with the coaching staff's one part of it, but then you look at the team that you're going to be surrounded by and the type of players that they've got in here. And that's a huge positive. When you can have a line like we have here, that's it's a quarterback's best friend when you know you're going to be protected.
Thanks very much.
All right, guys, we gotta start wrapping up. So let's get these last three questions in. We'll go Jack, Joe, and finish with Skylar.
Andy, it's Jack Taylor with WCCB. Welcome to Charlotte. First off, your last game playing was against the Panthers. Your first game now, of course, will be with the Panthers again. I know you haven't really gotten a feel for the team, but can you speak on just the difference in programs that you're going to be seeing when you last took the field and then when you're going to go into this regular season?
Yeah, and it's hard to tell. When you've been on the other side of it, and all I really know here is, what my experience has been since coming here. So, I like where we're at. I like the way things have been, like I said, been presented to the team, the way that Frank's presence and everything in front of the room, and the buy-in that we're going to get is, I think we're doing things the right way, and that's the first step to being a really good team.
And then quick follow-up, you saw obviously on the other side of the ball, Shai Tuttle and Von Bell your year in New Orleans. Can you speak about what they can bring to this already kind of formulated defense?
Yeah, I think it's the right type of people that we're wanting, and you throw that with the type of players that they are too. I think it all kind of speaks for itself.
Thank you.
Yep.
Andy, I know the offseason program started, I think, last week. I wondered if when they brought these quarterbacks in last week and then again yesterday, how many of them you got a chance to meet and kind of your thoughts on each of them?
Yeah, I got to meet most of the guys that they brought in here, and they're all seem like they're really good guys, and you never know how this whole thing goes with the draft and how it's all going to play out. But guys with a ton of talent, guys that have a lot of really good things going for them, and we'll just kind of see how the whole thing plays out. But I have had a chance to meet a couple of them.
Any interesting anecdotes or just takeaways from the quarterbacks through your short interaction?
They're all nice guys.
Hey, Andy, I know we talked a lot of offense, but what did you see from the Panthers defense last year? I know they had some different guys kind of playing there at the end of the year with some injuries and stuff, but and it's going to be a little bit different schematically, but just what did you see from those guys? Obviously the secondary, and then, Brian Burns as an elite pass rusher, just your thoughts on them and how good of a defense this can be.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent on this defense. And I would say if you looked at the team last year, that the defense was, not necessarily carrying the offense, but they were the one that were, playing really well. And you got a lot of that returning, which is great. So, when you're looking at the whole thing, when you've got a really solid defense, it's going to help the offense. And excited to have those guys. Yeah, it's going to look a little different with, schematically and what we're going to be doing, but we've got the talent here for sure.
Great. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We should have Miles Sanders up here very shortly.